If you are anywhere in the Yucatan, you have to visit the ancient ruins of Chichén Itzá.
While planning our trip to Chichén Itzá, we discovered some other sites that we felt we needed to see as well, and our day trip turned into an overnight adventure. We hired a car and driver. This was a great decision as he was very knowledgeable, reasonably priced, and introduced us to some great food and people.
Our first stop was another of Mexico's magic towns, Izamal. Besides being the oldest town in all of the Yucatan, Izamal is a feast for the eyes as the whole town is painted a beautiful shade of yellow. You feel as if you've traveled back in time as the colonial era architecture and cobbled streets with horse-drawn carriages combine with this distinctive yellow-gold color to lend a magical feel to the whole town.
Towering over one side of the Plaza Zamna at the town center is the Franciscan Convent of St. Anthony of Padua. Founded in 1549, this was one of the most important buildings in Mesoamerica. Today, it is still an operating cathedral, convent, and community focal point. Like everything else in Izamal, it is painted yellow, which actually makes this historic structure with its 75 arches look even more impressive. As we walked through the streets of the town, we became increasingly impressed, not only with the town's beauty, but with the calm and tranquil feeling of the place.
In addition to being a beautiful city today, Izamal has been known as the City of Hills due to the number of large temple pyramids that once dotted the landscape. Originally founded in 750 BC, this great Mayan city was a religious center that was continuously occupied for more than 1,000 years until the Spanish conquest.
Leaving the town center, we walked a few blocks to visit the ancient temple pyramid of Chichén. Out of the 7 pyramids in the town and around Izamal, Chichén is the 3rd largest pyramid in all of Mexico.
The climb up the pyramid was a little strenuous and it was also hot, but once we got up there, we were rewarded with spectacular views of the town Izamal and also of the surrounding Yucatan. Once we were finished, we started the climb down, and that was a little bit nerve-wracking. It's a lot easier climbing up than it is walking down on stones that are really uneven steps. But I managed.
Our next city to explore, and our stop for the night, Valladolid.
We arrived in Valladolid mid-afternoon, and boy, it was hot and crowded. It's another one of Mexico's magic towns, and also a city of rebel revolt.
Valladolid is named after what was then the capital of Spain, and is the site of a Mayan rebel revolt in the 15, 17, and 1800s.
The original site of Valladolid was built in 1543 near a lagoon. After much complaining by the early Spanish settlers of the mosquitoes and the humidity, they petitioned to have the city move further inland.
So in 1545, Valladolid was moved to its current location. In the 1705 revolt, the Maya rebels killed a number of town officials who were hiding in the cathedral. After the revolt was suppressed, the cathedral was declared profane due to the gruesomeness of the murders inside. That cathedral was completely demolished and its stones scattered. A new one was built the following year. This is the cathedral that you see here in the main square, the Cathedral of San Servacio. The next morning, our driver picked us up at the hotel at 7 a.m. We wanted to beat the crowds, the tour buses, and the heat to Chichén Itzá.
Our plan fell right into place, and we were among the first people to enter the ancient site. Situated about an hour and a half from Merida, UNESCO World Heritage Site Chichén Itzá is one of the most visited archaeological sites in Mexico. It hosts over 2.6 million visitors annually, so you can imagine that it can get pretty crowded here.
The Mayan name Chichén Itzá means at the mouth of the well of the Itzá. Itzá is the name of the group that gained political and economic dominance in the northern Yucatan Peninsula. Chichén Itzá was a focal point for the Mayan civilization for over 600 years, roughly from 600 to 1200 AD. The ancient Maya had a very advanced civilization, and so much is known about it because it had a writing system.
How did these giant stones get here? How did they carve these giant stones with such precision that they fit together like a puzzle? And how did they build these structures 10 stories tall with such giant stones?
I was immediately overwhelmed by the sight of the Great Pyramid of Kukulkan. A carving of the serpent god Kukulkan stretches down from the top of the pyramid. During the spring and fall equinox, the sun creates a shadow that gives the illusion of the giant feathered serpent slithering down the pyramid. Each side of the pyramid has 91 steps, for a total of 364. The platform at the top is the 365th step. These steps represent the 365 days of the year that we use in our calendar today.
El Caracol is the observatory. Here the Maya gathered information about the changing patterns of the sun and movement of the stars that help them form a calendar.
Chichén Itzá houses 13 ball courts, including the largest one in all of Mesoamerica, 2.5 times larger than a regulation NFL football field. The interior of the arena has 2 hoops, one on each side. This ball game could get quite difficult as these hoops are 26 feet off the ground. Players used a solid rubber ball, and players were not allowed to use their hands. A game could often last up to 2 weeks. More than 1.2 million Maya live in the Yucatán today, keeping their language and culture alive. There is so much history to be found not only here in the Yucatán, but throughout all of Mexico. It has been estimated that 85% of Mexico's ancient ruins still lie buried.
Who knows what's still out there waiting to be discovered? On your next trip to Mexico, plan to visit some of these ancient wonders.